Today's video is going to be focused on one of the well-known game series in my childhood. This video game series is SSX, or Snowboard Supercross. SSX is a series of snowboarding video games published by EA Sports. SSX stands out for the full name that I just mentioned. The series introduced us to skiing with its fourth installment. The creator of the series was created by Steve Rex Schaffner. I'm sorry if I pronounced his last name wrong. He is the inventor of the Olympic snowboarding event Bordercross. SSX was a launch title for both the EA Sports Big brand and the original PlayStation 2. Now, when it comes to EA Sports Big, they went all out with that SSX series. Most of their jobs developers were Electronic Arts Canada and Electronic Arts Montreal, or EA Canada or EA Montreal to be exact. And SSX had spawned various game installments, with the last installment being in 2012. Why? What happened to a beloved franchise like SSX? In this video, we're going to have to find that out. SSX 2000, or SSX Original, was released for the PS2 for its launch in October of 2000. It was developed by EA Canada, while its later predecessor in 2001 would be developed by EA Sports. Now, when it comes to SSX 2000, I used to play it non-stop. Now SSX is basically an arcade-style racing game, similar to Need for Speed Nitro, Hot Wheels Track Attack, and Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharge. Now, SSX was released only on the PS2. It was supposed to be on Dreamcast, but that was scrapped prior to a dispute between Electronic Arts and Sega, which was around the time that Dreamcast became a failure for Sega at this point, when they spawned Crazy Taxi, its sequel, and its sequel. After that, they moved on to the PC for Crazy Taxi 3. But the Dreamcast is another story for another video. Back to SSX. During gameplay of SSX 2000, players may choose one of a number of riders, each of their own tactics and boarding style. A course is selected, and the player is given the option of race down the course or participating in a competition to do tricks. There are a total of 8 playable characters: Mac Fraser, Moby Jones, Elise Riggs, Kaori Neshinaki, Jurgen Angerman, J.P. Arsenault, Zoe Payne, Hiro Kameshtu, just to name a few. Mac, Moby, Elise, and Kaori are available at the start. While Jurgen, JP, Zoe, and Hiro must be unlocked by earning gold medals. The requirements on earning gold medals. Each course is filled with ramps, rails, jumps, and other assorted objects. Performing tricks fills up the player's boost bar meter, which can be used for additional acceleration. Making tricks important, even in a race. While some tricks have origins in snowboarding, many of the more advanced tricks are not realistic to actual physics. This matters little in games of this style, as the larger and more extreme tricks count for the most points and are the most spectacular to execute. Players also have the option of practicing or exploring courses in freeride mode. There is a main career mode known as World Circuit, where players must upgrade the character from a newbie to master, or rank the character from newbie to master. And prior to this, characters have different outfits. You have to unlock them with the trick book mechanic feature. So during World Circuit, you must participate in race and show off, where you can unlock new boards and new characters. As and while you're in World Circuit, you can do some tricks as part of the trick book requirements. So as you do tricks, you'll unlock brand new outfits. So that's a good thing. So at this point, World Circuit is a great mode in my personal opinion. Yeah. There are different venues in SSX 2000. We got Snow Dream, Elysium Alps, Mercury City Meltdown, Mesa Blanca Sierra, Tokyo Megaplex, Aloha Ice Jam, Pipe Dream, and Untracked. Located in different parts of the U.S. or internationally. So what is the reception of SSX 2000? Well, according to Metacritic, they gave it a 93 out of 100. One of the best. This is the basically the best game in my personal opinion, but some people might disagree with otherwise. Some critics even said about one of the game's tracks were seen as strong point, calling the Tokyo Megaplex course a festival of light, color, and one of the most design levels that have ever been in the game. And I have to agree. Tokyo Megaplex. It looked like a real pinball board game. I mean pinball game. Pinball. Maybe it's just me. The venues are designed very well, and they were loved by various people. Although there were mixed opinions about some venues, like Aloha Ice Jam being so hilly, and people might having a critical chance if they get wiped out or not. I like the idea of most of the venues at this point. After SSX 2000, there's going to be a follow-up. Yes, the follow-up. Under the title SSX 2001 or SSX Tricky. Yes, SSX Tricky, developed by EA Sports, which in reality which was actually been made by EA Canada. SSX Tricky, or stylized as SSX2 or SSX2 Tricky, the second game in the SSX series. Published by Electronic Arts under the EA Sports Big label and developed by EA Canada, and is a direct sequel to the original SSX, released for the PlayStation 2, GameCube, and the original Xbox. And then it was later been ported to the GBA in October 2002, and it was developed by Visual Impact. And it was just beyond, and the GBA is beyond terrible at this point. And SSX Tricky, the character roster has changed dramatically. Hero and Jurgen were finally snatched from existence, replaced with new characters that some players might adore or not. These new characters were Brody, Ford, Simon Stark, Eddie, Sia, Marisol, and Luther. The characters that were from SSX 2000, like Mac and Kaori, Zoe and JP, and Elise and Kaori were still kept. The modes have been changed as well. You'll be able to do free ride still, as well as practice. Also under the title Trick Tutorial or Free Ride. Then there's World Circuit and your basic single event. There are different modes during single event and World Circuit, known as Race and Show Off. You get your basic race, but you have to play in 3 heats and Show Off, where you have to show off your coolest tricks. And that was during SSX 2000. During the gameplay racing scene, and the announcer will be beatboxing and other such, and who is this beatboxing announcer while you're racing and with the other riders, you may ask? Roselle. Don't get me wrong, I actually love Roselle as the announcer at this point during SSX 2000 and SSX Tricky. I mean, he's putting on a show at this point. And when you're doing and while you were doing wipeouts, while you're wiping out during SSX 2000, cartoon sound effects could be played if rarely or during some times if you get wiped out. Oh boy, I'm getting old. How I'm really getting old. Now back to SSX Tricky. SSX Tricky completely changed things dramatically at this point. Well, not just the characters and the boards and the outfits, but also the different venues. Now, the content of the venues changed dramatically. Snowdream is no longer the first venue in SSX Tricky. The first venue space that was taken over by Snowdream during SSX 2000 was replaced by a new venue called Garibaldi, located in Canada. Snowdream and Elysium Alps, Mesablanca, Sierra, Mercury City, Tokyo Megaplex, and Aloha Ice Jam were Untrapped and Pipe Dream were kept. 2 new venues arrived, Garibaldi and Alaska. Garibaldi considered to be a dramatic run, and Alaska happens to be a very fast track with a lot of ice and such. 2 new additions to the SSX World Circuit. I like that type of idea. Meanwhile, the venues like Snowdream and Elysium Alps were updated dramatically. Various parts were cut from the 2000 version of SSX, also known as SSX 1. Like for Tokyo Megaplex, the goofy pinball traps and other such have been finally snapped from existence. Now being updated to have no more traps and such, and anything, and eliminate everything that made Tokyo Megaplex great. I just felt I just felt very disappointed at that point. I mean, I couldn't believe they updated Tokyo Megaplex. But then again, the venue needed a change. change. Aloha Ice Jam has been kept the same, but with a little bit of changes here and there. Elysium Alps is still the same, but with a little bit of changes with new shortcuts and such. Snow Dream, it's been completely receiving an overhaul. Mesa Blanca probably have a little overhaul. Mercury City Meltdown had an overhaul. Untrapped and Pipe Dream, they got an overhaul. And just what I'm saying, they got massive overhauls. So at this point, yeah, I mean, I understand the point is that it's time to give the venue tracks a little change. I mean, they're great. So, yeah, at this point. So, now about the character list, basically the characters, they're still the same. However, the content changed. Mac Fraser would get replaced by a new character, goes by the name of Marty Stelber in the PAL version, while Mac Fraser is still available, but in the NTSC version of SSX Tricky. There are two different versions of SSX Tricky. That would feature Mac Fraser and Marty. It's too bad that Hero and Jurgen didn't return, which was justified as suffering off-season injuries. So that explains it. Anywho, you already got your trick book mechanic, which is still there and retained. New outfits may be earned by completing the character's trick book by doing a specific number of tricks, and you get a new snowboard, which is called the Uber board. Speaking of Uber boards, SSX Tricky has new Uber tricks designed for each character. If they're in freestyle, alpine, or BX. So yeah, you get Superman, Cliffhanger, Gutbuster, Proper Propeller, and any type of Uber trick that I just might name, just to name a few. And SSX Tricky also has a DVD content feature where you'll see behind the scenes of SSX Tricky and some voice actors who played different characters in the game, and celebrity voice work and redesigned character models and specific character cutscenes and more in-game music. Yeah, at this point, I actually like those. Now, the reception for SSX Tricky for the PS2, it won and got in the 92 out of 100, while the Xbox and GameCube are in second and third. The GBA is in last place, being the worst SSX port of all. Seriously, the GBA didn't need an SSX port at this point. Besides, the GBA got limitations. What were they thinking? Seriously, what were they thinking? Now, content about SSX Tricky is kind of rare, and what do I mean by it? Well, at this point, during the intro, we see some SSX characters from SSX 2000 and their original boards that were from SSX 2000, like Mac Fraser and the original Wiener snowboard, or other boards that have been changed dramatically. Zoe Payne's snowboard in SSX Tricky is different. Moby's board is still the same from SSX 2000 during the intro. Oh, y'all get the point. Yeah, y'all get the point. SSX Tricky, in my opinion, it is a great game in my personal opinion. Alright, it's time to stop talking about the 2001 iteration and launch pad of SSX Tricky. We now move on to SSX 2003, or SSX 3 to be exact. Here's another SSX iteration installment. SSX 3. Now is still developed by EA Canada under a new engine. The game was originally launched on October 21st, 2003 for the PS2, the original Xbox, and GameCube. Later been ported over to Game Boy Advance again. Why? Seriously. And there's also another platform called Gizmundo? I don't know what it is. The gameplay of SSX 3 is taking place on a fictional mountain. The single player mode follows snowboarders competing in the SSX Championship. Players must choose from a variety of characters. Yeah, the content of the characters has changed dramatically. Brody Ford, Sia, Luther, Marisol, and JP, and Eddie were cut. Now replaced with new characters into the SSX Championship. Allegra Soljes, Nate Logan, Vigo Rowling, and boy wonder, Griff Simmons. So basically, we got brand newer characters, while the SSX Tricky characters were eliminated. However, luckily and thankfully, the SSX Tricky characters weren't completely dead, as they've been participating in races. What do you mean by it? They're cheat characters now. So yeah, so when SSX 3 came, they would include cheat characters. They will include SSX 2000 and 2001 Tricky characters. So yeah, Jurgen and Hero made their grand return on SSX 3. However, while Hero is still back in his regular clothing from SSX 2000, Jurgen, on the other hand, is slightly different. His outfit looked like he was bodybuilding at this point. So at this point, I believe he moved on from snowboarding to focus more on bodybuilding. Okay, I'm just losing my mind. Now let's talk about the other cheat characters, like Unknown Rider, a beaver, a snowman, a skeleton, and Bunsen. Now, other cheat characters look very weird. Don't correct me if I'm wrong. The cheat characters in SSX 3 felt very weird, and it clearly made me feel very. It kind of made me feel. It kind of make me laugh at this point. Don't get me wrong, you get your basic SSX 2000 and SSX Tricky characters, but as one of the Tricky characters, we got an alternative character of Luther called Salvelite Luther, with that sweet potato pie snowboard that was from SSX Tricky, right. As well as you got NW Legend, Canhuck, Far East Myth, Snowballs, Gutless, and you get a basketball player, goes by the name of Stretch. You get Marty, and in the in a different outfit, as well as we seen JP and Eddie and Brody as well. Basically, yeah. SSX 3 can be very funny. SSX 3 is funny. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. We still have your basic Uber tricks, but they've been changed dramatically, and we get to see something that we never get to see before. We get to see the SSX character do crazy monster tricks. Okay. Then, now let's talk about the reception about SSX 3. SSX 3. While the PlayStation 2 won with 93 out of 100, Xbox and GameCube tied. The GBA, don't get me started with it. Why the GBA again? Seriously, why? Why the GBA port? Seriously, we only a GBA port. It's created by the same creators, Visual Impact, the same developers. While the Gizmondo version was developed by Suxient Entertainment. Oh wait, don't you mean Exia Entertainment? Yeah, but I'm calling it Suxient Entertainment at the point because at the matter of which they've been working with EA for ever since then, before they cut ties with them severely back in the 2010s. Now let's talk about SSX3 was critically acclaimed, with reviewers praising the game's open world, trick system, and presentation and soundtrack, like "Jerk It Out" and "The Basement Jacks," "Do Ya Thing," and much more. I just love the licensed soundtrack. It's such a banger, and it's very awesome. Even the Uber tricks are awesome. Though it'll take some time to time them correctly before the character makes a good perfect landing. Moving on, we get to the fourth installment, known as SSX on Tour. SSX on Tour is the fourth title of the SSX series of video games, and it was created for the GameCube, PS2, original Xbox, and the PlayStation Portable. The PSP's version was created by EA Montreal, which in reality is the PSP version kind of traces back to SSX 3 being reused. And yes, even the monster tricks have been reused. But the PSP, we don't want to go there at this point. Now back to the main version of the game of SSX on Tour. SSX on Tour is similar to that in SSX 3, with similar controls and the overall aims of events remaining the same. Snowboard down a mountain while gaining points for various tricks that can be performed. After each trick, a player's boost bar builds up, and once full, enables a player to perform special moves that have been renamed from Uber tricks to monster tricks. Despite the similarity, numerous changes were made to the structure of races and events themselves. A new mechanic in the On Tour campaign compared to previous entries, in addition of this thing, skiing. Yes, you can now ski, it was a mixed bag per se. Everybody prefers snowboarding because it made super good sense, because SSX is supposed to be snowboard supercross racing. Now, players can now create his or her own skin with their own symbol, makeup, height, clothes, and hair, in addition to whatever they're a snowboarder or a skier. Once they created their character, they could compete in official competitions known as events or unofficial challenges known as shreds. Each completed event or challenges gains the character's hype, raising their profile and moving them up the SSX charts, with the ultimate goal of reaching number 1. Now you get your basic characters that returned, including 7 returning SSX veterans: Elise, Mac, Kaori, Zoe, Simon, Nate, and Allegra, which they have returned. Vigo Rowling and Griff Simmons were eliminated, just like what happened with Jurgen and Hero and the other SSX tricky characters, like Sia and Luther. 3 new characters made an appearance: Tyson, Sid, and Sky. On the GameCube version, you get to play as the Super Mario Bros. Characters. Only 3 Super Mario characters: Mario, Luigi, and Princess Peach. Mario and Luigi have snowboards, while Princess Peach is a skier. Appear as playable characters, and the level Last Call was renamed to Nintendo Village, with Mario themed in iconography replacing certain textures in the level. Unlike its predecessor SSX3, no online play was included in any of the versions of SSX on tour. There was supposed to be a online mode on an SSX3. It was supposed to be that, but it was discontinued. The main focus on improving the single player story mode, implementing the character's creation system, working on new levels, and implementing skiing. The PSP version borrowed things from SSX3. Yeah. Like SSX Tricky and 3, SSX on Tour features various licensed music. Pretty much kind of reminds me of Need for Speed here and there. Speaking of Need for Speed, one of the soundtracks that I just listened in SSX on Tour, I think one of them were from Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005. The GameCube and PS2 versions received 80 out of 100. PSP 79 out of 100. Pretty much a mixed bag. While the Xbox version received an 81 out of 100. Meaning it's now in first place at 81 out of 100. Probably because of the fact maybe it has better graphics at this point, better than the PS2 and GameCube. But on that note, SSX on Tour is very underrated. Nobody doesn't even play it, but eventually some people did start playing it, I suppose. So, SSX 2000, Tricky, 3, and on Tour, they were part of this gold to silver age of SSX. Until then, by 2007, we get to see the decline of the SSX series, with the introduction of SSX Blur. This is a Nintendo Wii exclusive. So yeah. So SSX Blur is not created by Electronic Arts Canada. Is created by EA Montreal. Follows a simulation of previous SSX titles. Like SSX3, the player progressively works up through 3 peaks on a mountain, participating in races, trick competitions, and a new Salam event, and to earn prizes and other unlockable material. Players are allowed to choose from either traditional snowboards or skis, as introduced in SSX on Tour. And the soundtrack, unlike previous games, this soundtrack only contains one musician, Junkie XL. The music is available online. Very repetitive. It did not review well. We don't want to talk about it. But aside from some playable characters, we get our SSX veterans like Mac, Elise, Kaori, Zoe, Moby, Simon, Allegra, and JP. Oh wait, JP returned? Wow. While Sky and Griff. Sky? I didn't know they added Sky in there. As well as Griff? Wait, Griff Simmons? I don't know. As well as some newcomers, Felix and Maya. All of which can either use skis or snowboards. Only 4 characters are available at the start of the game, like the SSX veterans. Not Simon, Allegra, and such. They need to get unlocked. Unfortunately, the characters do not interact or say rude stuff or talk in the game because it did not because of limitations on the Wii. So SSX Explorer offers few customization options for the characters than the previous SSX games, and the characters do not talk in SSX Blur. So SSX Explorer is kind of at a decline at this point. Now, moving on, we get to the last and final installment of SSX, known as SSX 2012. Developed by Electronic Arts Canada. Yes, Electronic Arts Canada, with a brand new engine we don't know about, and it's only been made for new gen consoles like the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. This SSX 2012 is basically the reboot of the original SSX, which is a snowboarding game can be controlled via buttons or analog sticks. Although an option for classic controls from earlier entries in the series is available. Throughout the game, players navigate through snowy levels and perform tricks. Yes, the Uber tricks makes a grand return. The tricky mode, which makes a return from SSX tricky at this point. During that mode, players have unlimited boosts and tricks, which will now become wider Uber tricks. If the player performs enough Uber tricks while in tricky mode, they'll enter in super tricky mode. Sorry, couldn't help myself. The bulk of the game is World Tour mode, in which Team SSX attempts to conquer the 9 deadly descents across the world, including Himalayas and Antarctica. During each location, players train a specific rider to tackle the descent via a series of events, which generally involve either defeating opponents in a race or obtaining the highest trick score. Other modes, like Explorer mode, in which players can freely explore various mountains and taking on various challenges and global events, in which players can take on various challenges online, which will require an online pass or either sold with new copies of the game or purchased online. Speaking of, let's look at the character roster. The original SSX character Elise Riggs return, alongside Mac Fraser, Kaori, Moby, Simon Stark, Zoe Payne, Griff Simmons, and Eddie. As part of a pre-order bonus from GameStop, also appeared in the game. 2 new characters were added, like Tane, Alex, and Ty. Travis Rice was later made available, but as part of DLC, making him the only real-life snowboarder to feature in the game series. While SSX 2012 received general positive reviews from critics, with 81 and 82 score for the PS3 and Xbox. While the reboot of SSX was the 5th best-selling game in the United States. I don't know what happened to the franchise at this point. SSX was a better success than EA's first-person shooter Syndicate, which the company was expected to perform successfully. The Syndicate video game proved to be a failure. Yeah, it probably did not do well. Now, downloadable content DLC, basically their downloadable content in which EA wanted to get more money. On August 7th, EA released a patch update with 2 new game modes. The first mode, entitled 3-2-1 Go, added live multiplayer gameplay. And the second mode, called Free Ride, let players ride down any mountain without any time limits, ghosts, or scores. But I'm just wondering, what happened to the game? Why did they? I don't know. I should say that the reboot effectively kind of ended the SSX franchise peacefully, and would be the last game to be produced by EA Sports before EA Sports moved on to the FIFA series and other sports titles like NBA and NHL and NFL. Seriously, at this point, the last EA Sports big publish would be SSX Blur. Now, there are other games of SSX called SSX Out of Bounds, which was a port of the console installment SSX3, but downsized for the handheld. Then in came SSX by EA Sports, released by LG Smart World app storefront for the LG G2 in 2013. The game was released on other platforms, and it uses 4 descents and 4 characters, and the game supports gamepad support with PlayStation's DualShock 3 controller. Pretty cool, I think. And then there is SSX Snowboarder, a plug and play made by Radicea with EA Sports and Play TV, which has a full game and controller in one, with AV cables plugged into a TV or VCR. And it also features game modes such as Show Off, Time Challenge, Pipe Dream, and Tokyo Megaplex. Oh man, I wish I would have seen that. And there were canceled games like SSX iPhone. This was originally given a 2009 release date by EA Mobile. Later delayed 2010, but the game was never released. So at this moment, after 2013, they don't do any more SSX installments anymore. Practically because of the fact that they're focusing on their greedy franchise titles. These titles would be the FIFA series, as well as the NBA and NHL and NFL. I don't know if the NHL video game series is still continuing at this point. I don't know. Need for Speed, we all know, and other certain, you know. This is gone. Seriously, this has to stop. Why can't EA just come back to, I don't know. However, Steven, the producer of SSX Tricky, expressed his interest and possibility of a revival of SSX with a remake of Tricky, a definitive edition, I think. He said that overall it is not his decision, but the developers at EA who own the IP. However, in 2021, he said he is working on a successor of the SSX franchise, and it was revealed to be called Project Gravity, a free-to-play live service snowboarding game from Steven's team at Supernatural Studios. Now, as of 2024, the game was reported to be cancelled. It was set to be published by 2K, also known as 2K Games. I don't know, maybe. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, and yeah, this is practically the whole entire SSX series, with a soon-to-be revival under the title called Project Gravity. Time sure flies by fast, and honestly, with 2023, we celebrated SSX 3's 20th anniversary. We celebrated SSX 2000's 20th anniversary. Even back in 2021, we celebrated SSX Tricky's 20th anniversary. And now this year, we're going to be celebrating SSX on Tour's 20th anniversary birthday. Now, Project Gravity is supposed to be as part of the revival of the SSX series, but unfortunately, Project Gravity will not be a direct sequel to the SSX series, but rather be a spiritual successor. Project Gravity is basically, I don't know, I just don't know what to expect. It is just a fast-paced first-person shooter game with bullet hell gameplay and ability to charge gravity. Is certainly that's not what we're working for. But I surely hope that any updates or something regarding about SSX get a revival soon enough. But if not, then I don't know what will happen next. But in matter of which, I prefer the original SSX. Anyway, at the fact that in conclusion, SSX is very nostalgic for me. I just couldn't resist an arcade style racing game like SSX or Need for Speed or Hot Wheels. As a matter of which, I completely find Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005 having an arcade mode styled quick race series too. In my personalized opinion, next to Need for Speed Carbon and Need for Speed Underground 2. Basically the same concept, probably. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Which SSX installment did you play? When you were growing up? Did you like some of the SSX games back in the 2000s? Did you hate them? Let's all talk in the comments. And then until next time, stay tuned. This has been Tajmir, the Random Fan / Random Fan 2002 Productions. Stay tuned for more.